or not?
Sir, you have the chair.
Thank you. I'm sorry for standing up. Dr. Rapp, I've been in the field for 30 years. I'm actually the project scientist at the Physical Oceanography Data Center for salinity and sea surface temperature. And again, I just want to reiterate, especially over the past 20 and 30 years, you mentioned the sparsity of the data. That's not true. Satellite oceanography has completely changed the way we look at climate science because it covers the whole globe. Sea level-wise, it's not accurate to say. It's not only increasing, it's accelerating. The data shows that. When you combine data from all of the alternatives, especially Topex Poseidon, since 1992, it is unambiguous. Sea level is rising and it is also accelerating. The gray satellite, which you mentioned, thank you. Also, the data is unambiguous. The Greenland ice sheet is not only melting, it is melting at an accelerating rate. If this was all natural variability, you compare in the 20th century, Topex Poseidon has been an order of magnitude greater since, an order of magnitude more since the coming out of the last sea level, since coming out of the last ice age. So again, that's the data. It's not propaganda. It's unambiguous. And again, you know, I've been in the field for 30 years like you, and I appreciate your comments and appreciate your background. But you know, this data is fairly new. These results are changing all the time, and it shows a very, very clear picture. And I also think, just to finish, because I don't want to take too much time, the question you posed, that's the question we should be focused on, is what all the alternative energy sources, because the science issue in terms of the human cause and the human factor, I think it's only a question of how much. It's not a question of if anymore. So those are the question of now implementation and policies and how, you know, we go to alternative energy sources should be where we're starting to focus our energy and time.
Because I feel sea level rise is the most important possible impact of global warming, I've spent an inordinate amount of time studying sea level rise and reading all the papers up till the last few months, and I've reached a very different conclusion. There is, GRACE seems to indicate an acceleration of sea level rise, but there's many, many observations that say it's not accelerating. Furthermore, Remsdorf, the German climatologist, just came out with a statement that he was amazed to find that the ice level on Greenland is actually increasing, not decreasing, and he said it changes his whole idea about sea level rise. So we've looked at the same data, presumably. Maybe you've seen things I haven't seen, perhaps that's possible. But I've made a genuine attempt to review the whole literature, and I don't see it either way.
Well, that's just not true.
Next question. You know, we have to be accurate here. GRACE is measuring also the melting of the Greenland ice sheet.
Okay, we have a lady there.
Hi, good evening. I'm Tammy Schultz. And I was really nervous coming here thinking that the work that I've been doing for the last 6 years was worthless, because I've been in the energy efficiency conservation world, retrofitting buildings and homes and trying to reduce waste. And I really appreciated the fact that you did say that when the parts per million get to 500, 600, 700, we are in trouble, and that we do need to find solutions. And I'd like to talk more from a business point of view, that I really believe, you know, we deal with that every day as well. We do a lot of energy modeling, and what we like to say is garbage in, garbage out. It all depends on who's collecting the data and who's putting it out there. But at the end of the day, I really believe that sustainable solutions are really the way we can drive economic change, where we have finally technology like efficiency and diagnostics and infrared cameras and solar, wind, and hydro, where we can retrain our workforce and finally have something to sell to the rest of the world with these solutions. And I think it's really important that we can focus on this commonality of, yes, science. Everybody has a different opinion. It does seem like more are leaning towards one side than the other. But at the end of the day, what are the solutions? in terms of day-to-day human happiness and lack of suffering. And I think right now the biggest thing is the economy and the gap between the rich and the poor. How can we use this opportunity to not get to 500 to 600 parts per million to reinvest in our country, not have artificial low prices for gas, electric, petroleum. Let's have a level playing field in politics where these new technologies have just as much as a chance to get out there and make a difference. Then this kind of dialogue or this kind of challenging each other of science is neither here nor there, because we're moving towards solutions. But I do appreciate that you're on the same page in terms of we have to stop the rise of parts per million. So thank you for being here.
I don't quite see it your way, but almost.
I'll take that.
I think it would be certainly prudent if we had energy source X that we could put in right now or over the next 30 years and not emit the CO2. I mean, why should we take the chance in case the alarmists are right? And so if we had an alternative, I'd be entirely in favor. And I do believe that we should push solar, wind, and all other forms of renewable energy as well as we can, and probably nuclear as well. But the problem is that I don't see how